So if the healthcare system is $1 billion industry that's making all of this money, you don't think they're reducing their taxable income?
For sure.
I tell healthcare workers in general, like, you ever realize, like, in the month of December, everybody's throwing a holiday party. And it's free to you. And it's free to you. That's a tax write-off, baby. These scholarships and all of that stuff, like, they're tax write-offs to reduce their taxable income at the end of the year. So it looks like they're making less than what they actually made throughout the year.
And then it also looks good, too.
It looks good. Like, I want a $10,000 scholarship for school or whatever. I want that, too. But really, it's a tax write-off. And that's cool. I ain't knocking nobody, because if I gift people at the end of the year under my business.
All right, so we're back with another episode of Motion and Success. Got my co-host with me, Cody.
Yes. Cody Brown, future _the CEO.
Yep. And today we got a really special guest. Today we got Ebony.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
It's great having you, Ebony. Thank you for showing up today. So we're going to have a really great conversation. But first off, let's start off, like, where you from?
I'm from the South Bronx, New York City.
Oh, wow. That's great. So all three of us, like, we got that New York in us.
Yes.
That New York vibe. You know
I mean, can it be any other
really
way?
Imagine, though. Like, that would be crazy. A little different.
Right. But, so I read something like, I did my research. I always do my research on all the guests coming up. So I seen that, you are in the nursing field and you're a nurse practitioner.
Correct, yeah.
Could you tell us how your nursing journey started? Like, how'd you start off? Why'd you wanted to be a nurse? First starting off?
Yeah, so I never always wanted to be a nurse. I was fine where I was. I was working at Wendy's, actually.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I was working at Wendy's. I made my own schedule, so I didn't have any issue. But I came up. My father's Jamaican. Caribbean parents do not play that. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was like, "You need to go to school. You need to go to medical school." Even to this day, like, I'm a nurse practitioner, he still tells all his friends, like, "Oh, my daughter's a doctor," because he doesn't know the difference. He just knows, like, I do something in the medical field. So even when I was an RN, he was telling people I was a doctor, because that's all he knows. He doesn't know the difference. But I grew up with my dad. My mom passed away when I was 4. Didn't know her, don't know her side of the family. I just know my dad, and I have 2 brothers as well. And just my upbringing, my dad wanted more for me. And I was like, okay, cool. I got into nursing school, like, right away at the age of 17.
Oh, wow.
And I got my associate's degree in 2014, my bachelor's in 2016, and my master's in 2018. And when I got my master's degree, I never went into being a nurse practitioner right away. I was a travel nurse. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to be able to give back in some type of way for my father. He raised me with no green card. Don't ask me how he got me through school. I don't know. But he got me through school. He was like my financial source for anything that I needed. And I felt like I needed to give back. So I got into travel nursing. I was in the ICU, medical ICU travel nurse. And I ended up getting his green card for him through travel nursing. And I ended up also getting a 2-bedroom apartment using the travel nursing housing stipend. And that was my first taste of freedom. Yeah.
Wait, so your travel nursing, your contract, is that a contract or no?
Yeah, that's a contract.
So your contract was able to get you an apartment here in the city, or?
So with travel nursing, they give you an hourly rate in addition to a housing stipend.
Yeah.
And so I used that housing stipend to get an apartment in the city. I was able, usually, like, contracts be like 13 weeks long.
Yeah.
And so people would get housing for like 13 weeks, like, for the duration of their assignment.
Yeah.
But being that I was moving back from upstate New York, I used to go to upstate medical, moving back from there to New York City. I was able to speak to the landlord to be like, look, I know my contract is 13 weeks, but put me in a year lease. Like, I don't plan on going anywhere. So that's how I was able to get the housing.
So the hospital was able to pay for one entire year?
We usually go through agencies. No, they didn't pay for the entire year.
So they did 13 weeks.
Yeah, but I knew, like, I was going to get a job. Like,
Okay.
I knew I was going to be able to still continue to pay my rent.
Right.
So, a lot of It's so funny because a lot of landlords, they don't recognize like travel nursing as like a stable job. Like, so he kind of looked at me like, how are you going to be able to pay this rent? Like, and this is a contract job.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't worry about it. Like, I got this, like, you know. And then I had a 2-bedroom on top of that. He was like, well, can you show your dad's income? I'm like, my dad is almost 70 years old. Like, what? Like, no, we're going to go by my income. And he was just surprised at how much I was making at that time. This is back in 2018.
Yeah.
So he was just surprised on how much I was making at that time. And I'm like, listen, you just going to have to trust me. One thing about me, I don't play with my bills. They're going to get paid somehow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So you jumped into travel nursing before the pandemic. Like you was already doing
Yeah,
it.
I'm old school travel
She
nursing.
said, I'm
Like,
old school.
I'm old school. Like when you got a rate in California for $2,200, California, that was good. Like, that's how old school I am with travel nursing. 1,800 in New York City was good. Like, I came before the pandemic.
Because I know it got really popular after the pandemic. Everybody started jumping
everybody
to
got
it.
into it because the rates started going up.
Yeah.
But I think I only did I did do a contract that was 6 weeks long. No, it was longer than that, but I couldn't stay there. It was like a $10K a week contract in California for 6 weeks. I did that because at that time I thought I was going to like buy a house, so I wanted to have the down payment for a house. I didn't last 6 weeks there. Like I did the 6 weeks. I didn't last more than 6 weeks there. I'm also a travel nurse practitioner, so it was easy for me to hop into that role, but it just wasn't me.
Yeah.
Like I'm all about freedom and flexibility and negotiating higher rates with less time working. So for me to work 6 days in a row, and this is no shade to anybody that does that. For me, it was just like not my thing.
So you were working 6 days a week? Because I know nurses, you guys usually work like 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
You're working
about 3 days a week normally.
So you were working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day?
During the pandemic. I only did it for 6 weeks though. I know people that have done it for like years, like a year or 2 years, and really came up and really used that money to invest in things that they wanted to. It's just that's just
the
not
sacrifice.
my mental.
I gotta even touch on
That's
that
a
because
lot.
Did you do it?
Nah, I was just about to say, being in the nursing field, I was working with some travel nurses who were doing that, and like when they started off, they seemed okay, but then later you could kind of see like them being in that hotel by themselves and kind of not having the support they need, especially some of them traveling in, like their mental health seemed like it was declining. Like, and some of them, that is risky too, because you're working with really sick people. Yeah, you're working with patients.
Yeah.
But you said that you value time and freedom. So what made you jump into, because you do something a little bit different, Locum Tenent, right?
I'm a Locum Tenent nurse practitioner.
Locum Tenent nurse practitioner. So what made you jump into that? Did you get more time and like a little bit more freedom?
So when I was a travel nurse at that time, I loved it so much. This is actually when I started growing my travel blog brand, Front Page Ebb on Instagram, before people even knew I was a nurse. So people were wondering, like, how was I traveling so much? Like, people were like, she got a sugar daddy. Like, there's no way this girl was traveling like so much. And I was so focused on that time when I was a travel nurse and working in the ICU. I was focused on building this travel brand where I could show people different parts of the world outside of what we normally see in our day-to-day life. So I was like going to different places in Mexico and finding hidden gems and then talking about how to get there, the flights to get there, like just different. And then like my travel page just blew up so much. Now, I'm not going to say in the back of my mind I didn't think about my NP degree because I graduated a year ago. So I'm like, oh my God, I have not used this NP degree. And not only that, a lot of people were in my ear like about, what are you going to do about your health insurance? What are you going to do about your retirement plan? What are you going to do about this? Like, I know you got your freedom and flexibility, but when are you going to use your NP license? And so, listening to other people, I did go back and I got my NP. I mean, not got my NP. I went back to working a staff job. So I worked in urgent care, a staff role in urgent care. And I don't know. It was just uneasy. Like just two weeks of PTO and for a year, like I work at 12 months out of the year and I'm getting only 2-3 weeks of PTO. Like that didn't sit well with me because I'm talking about I was always traveling every month.
Hey, listen, I know you're enjoying the episode, but listen, if you are out here and you're struggling to get funding for your business, luckily for you, I can tell you exactly why. 9 times out of 10 is due to your business not being structured properly. It could be the address, it could be the phone numbers, but guess what? I made a free step-by-step program that's going to tell you exactly how you can go from $0 to $150,000 in business credit in less than 90 days. All you got to do is just text the word credit to 202-900-2927 or go to 6figurfunding.com and we'll go ahead and get you taken care of. All right, now back to the episode.
So, excuse me. So, to go from there to now somebody telling me how to really live my life was crazy to me. So, I quit after 4 months. I had a staff job. I quit after 4 months. By the grace of God, 2 weeks later, I literally found my first locum position, and it was in primary care. It wasn't even an urgent care. They actually trained me to the role of being a primary care provider in an adult medicine clinic. So a little bit of adult medicine, chronic conditions, and HIV as well. And that's what started my journey. This was back in 2019 as well.
Wow. So I got 2 questions. So now, actually 3 questions. So now, first thing first, like, what was the solution to that medical insurance problem? Because I know, like, there's other nurses, like, they want to make sure that they have their health insurance. They want to make sure that they got the retirement, all of that stuff set up. What was the solution to that?
So the funny thing about it is that what I do as a nurse practitioner, not a lot of nurse practitioners know that they can do that. And what I see a lot nowadays is that nurse practitioners will go backwards instead of forward. So they'll get their degree, and a lot of nurse practitioners went backwards to travel nursing and bedside nursing because they make more working at bedside. But to me, my opinion, I utilize my degree. I got my degree. I spent an extra 2 years in school to get my degree for a reason. So I do practice as a Locum Tenent nurse practitioner. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a Latin term for placeholder. So I work in different clinics or different hospitals just covering needs. So it could be a contract that's 3 months long. It could be a contract that's 6 months long. It could be a year plus contract. Or I'll work like 6 shifts. So if you called in sick and they need a provider, I'll literally work your shift.
Oh, so you're kind of like the vacation, like the person who covers like vacations, sick
I cover
days.
vacation, sick days,
So that's what a
maternity
locum
leaves.
tenant is?
Yes, or you
Okay.
could do it like this is what I do full time. You could do it part time. You could do it like, maybe you work 3 12-hour shifts
Right.
as a staff position, and you pick up some locum shifts when need, or you could do like there's nurse practitioners that work 7 on, 7 off. When they're 7 off, maybe they could pick
What's
up a
that?
shift or 2.
7 on,
7 on, 7 on in a row,
So you work 7 days straight?
7 days straight,
And
and
then
then
you
you're
got
off
7
for
days
7
straight.
days. Yep.
Oh, that would be
There's
good
different
for
type of
vacations.
there's different types of positions you can work like as a nurse practitioner. So there are like staff nurse practitioners that work 7 on, and maybe on their 7 off they can pick up 2 shifts doing locums. And
Oh.
so for me, I work as a 1099 Locum Tenent nurse practitioner. This means that I am operating as a business. So these hospitals, these agencies, I would say, they are paying me as a business. So they're paying my business. And then I pay myself, right? So in this sense, that means
That's so smart. Like, that's so smart.
Yes,
Like,
I pay
now
myself.
I see where you're going with it. So now, like, all right, so what I'm imagining is, all right, cool. What you're doing is you're having them pay you as a business.
Yes.
You're paying yourself.
Mhm.
Now you can do like different tax strategies like S Corp, C Corp, or whatever.
I am an S Corp. Yep.
Right. And now you can pay yourself your own pay stubs, and now you can even control whether you have health care or not.
Yes, exactly.
That's the answer to y'all problem.
It's the same concept as
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. It is
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. I literally told my friend, like, when you transition into doing 1099 contracts as a locum, you're basically taking on the role of being a business owner.
Right.
And you have all of those write-offs, right? So for me, I'd rather just pay for my health insurance because I have no cap on my income. So if I'm making $200,000 a year, $250,000 a year, I want to reduce that taxable income, especially by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So things like health insurance, my retirement plans, having a solo 401k.
Right.
I can do that as well, you know,
And
for my retirement.
This allows you to be like, all right, cool. We could do the traveling. We can do that. That makes a lot of sense now.
I needed my freedom back, honey.
That did somebody taught you that play?
Yeah, I was just
Or,
gonna
like, how
ask
did you
that. Like,
figure that out?
How'd you find out about like that
How?
side?
Yeah, like
I
how'd you
taught
figure all of
myself.
this out, like health insurance? Because you know, like my parents, they be telling me, Cody, you need a city job. Like, why? Like, you're so young. I'm like, okay, cool. I'd rather risk it right now. You know what I mean? And when we get there, health insurance, life insurance, all of that, we're
But it
gonna
ain't a
figure it
risk
out.
because you're a business owner.
Yeah, you know, like we're gonna figure all of that stuff out. And then she's like, oh, you don't want to be paying so much for insurance. I'm like, wow, you don't know what the rich people doing? Like,
You don't know what they do. They
like,
just focus on making the money.
exactly, yeah.
And let me tell you something. So healthcare system, unfortunately, is not changing. This is how they've been making money for years.
Yeah.
Being understaffed, like, you know, nurse burnout or whatever they say, or whatever the case may be. They make money off of people being sick.
Right.
People get sick every single day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every single hour, every single minute. So this is how the healthcare system is making their money, right? So if the healthcare system is $1 billion industry that's making all of this money, you don't think they're reducing their taxable income?
For sure.
I tell nurse practitioners that not even nurse practitioners, just healthcare workers in general, like, you ever realize, like, in the month of December, everybody's throwing a holiday party, and it's free to you. And it's free to you. That's a tax write-off, baby. These scholarships and all of that stuff, like, they're tax write-offs to reduce their taxable income at the end of the year, so it looks like they're making less than what they actually made throughout the year.
And then it also looks good too.
It looks good. Like, I want a $10,000 scholarship for school or whatever. I want that too. But really, it's a tax write-off, and that's cool. I ain't knocking nobody, because if I gift people at the end of the year under my business. I buy lab coats and stamps to my friends. Like, you're starting a new position, some Starbucks card to my community, like my community that also do locums. I teach as well. I do all of that because, listen, it's the end of the year. Not that I grace, you know, giving grace, but at the same time, I still got to reduce my taxable income. Right. Yeah. As far as the play goes, I learned it myself. So I was never like diseducated on it. And I think a lot of us in the healthcare field aren't that educated on the financial component, because we literally, like, if I wanted to go on vacation, I could just work an extra shift, the extra 12-hour shift. That'll pay for my flight and maybe the hotel, you know? And so that's how I started, right? I had that mindset at first. Yeah. So when I first became a locum, I'm going to be honest with you, I had no health insurance. I had no retirement plan because I left my job. So I had nothing, right? For the first year of being a locum, nothing at all. And I ended up owing $30,000 in taxes at the end of the year. And I ended up paying that back willfully. Like, I just paid it back because I also had this mindset, not only the mindset of working an extra shift to make money, but also the mindset of, as I grow up the chain, the ladder with my income, IRS is going to tax me at that tax bracket, and I just got to pay it back because I made more money. Yeah. It don't work that way at all. So just learning what the rich people do it was studying through different books, Think and Grow Rich. What's the other one?
Who's it by?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Understanding those kind of books. 4-hour work week.
4-hour work week.
That one was the one I just finished this summer. Like, just reading those books really educated me on the financial component, on how to really navigate my lifestyle. I'm a walk-in tax deduction, I like to say.
I was just gonna mention it too, because being like kind of working on your own, like, you know, being an independent practitioner, I was gonna say, like, how some, like, the usually 9 to 5, the W2 workers, they look at it like, all right, so I'm just gonna make my money and then I'm going to go find somebody to do my taxes. So I make the money, I find somebody to do my taxes. Like, they don't want the headache of dealing with those numbers, you know? So how do you like, how do you help NPs? I know you lost $30,000, so you learned from you.
I ain't want to lose that again.
So how do you kind of like break it down for NPs to tell them, like, it's actually not that hard controlling your own income and setting yourself up as a business? Because a lot of people might look at it like, yo, I need to do the math properly. I know, and they don't want to owe the IRS. So how do you make it easy for them to understand?
So the best thing that you have to do when you structure yourself as a 1099 independent contractor is you definitely have to separate you from the business. Even though you pay yourself from your business, you have to separate you from your business. Now, doing this podcast, everything, my transportation, gas that I put in my car, makeup that I had done, hair that I got done just to come here and actually do an interview is a write-off. That's my business.
You working.
That's my business.
Yeah.
Now, if this was like I'm doing my hair, my makeup and stuff to go out with my friends, that's not my business. That's not from my business. That's not a business expense. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So completely separating yourself from your business. Secondly, business debit card versus personal debit card. All your personal expenses should be on your personal card. Anything that qualifies as business expenses should be on your business debit card. Right? Or business credit card if you want to take it to that level. Pay back your business credit card with your business debit card. And when you have things completely separated, it makes things easier. Now, it is recommended to do Q1 through Q4 taxes, right? These are estimates. So basically, you look at your finances that you spent, how much you made, and then you pay estimates based on that. You should always have a good CPA. I wouldn't recommend doing this by yourself. Some people, they do it by themselves. I'm not a person that like to do bookkeeping by myself. Yeah. I rather I use QuickBooks as my system, where it generates where it needs to be, whether it's an entertainment, travel. I do a lot. I realize my traveling is up there. Anything that's related to the business, gas, mileage, parking, whatever. At the end of Q1, that should be calculated, and then you're paying estimates towards the taxes. That doesn't mean this is how much you're paying to taxes. They say recommended about 25 to 30% from your paycheck to put aside towards taxes. That doesn't mean that's how much you're paying in taxes, because you have to think about your tax deductions as well. Like, you're able to reduce that. You do that every quarter. Right. And then being that you paid it throughout the year, that makes it easier for you and much better for you. And if you are an S Corp, you are already paying half of that through you being an employee of your business anyway. So I am a W2 of my business. Taxes are being taken out the same way just as an employee, you know what I mean, of a healthcare organization. You still get those taxes taken out. So you already cut off pretty much half of what you made by paying yourself as an employee. Yeah.
Do you use like a payroll software, like an ADP or something?
I use QuickBooks.
Oh, QuickBooks.
QuickBooks generates my W2 pay stubs.
Okay, and it'll automatically send them payments to where it has to go to, like state taxes, federal taxes.
So it sends it to I can't remember. Social Security.
Social
and
Security, Medicare. Okay, that's cool.
I was just gonna say, I was like, that's super. Cause
it's system. You don't need to do all that. Like, please, bye. Just save 25 to 30%, please, every paycheck.
But I was like, nah, like what you're doing is super unique, because I never really seen I never really heard of a nurse practitioner setting herself up as a business. Because it's like when you are W2, sometimes you do look at your income and you like, damn, like all of this, they took out all of these taxes. And a lot of people don't know how you could kind of like legally offset those taxes and save more money. So what you're doing is like a really great idea.
It just makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
sense.
I remember those days. I remember those days where I would work that extra shift and then my paycheck come out next week and I'm like, dang, I basically worked a 12-hour shift for no reason. I'd rather my money up front. I'll tell you what I'm going to pay back in taxes based on my deductions, yes.
And it also gives you like the control to be like, all right, cool. Like now you don't necessarily have to do all of this. I will figure it out myself. Right. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Right, but you do have to be disciplined in it.
Yeah.
That I would say. My first year out, I didn't know. My second year was a little
Mhm.
bit. I got a CPA. It's my third CPA, y'all. Like, my first CPA was my uncle. And good, I don't have to pay no, like, taxes. You know, I don't have to pay him. He did my taxes. But when it came to a point when I told him that I wanted to switch from W2 to 1099, he's a little old school. He don't know about that. He don't know about what goes on nowadays, like entrepreneurship and all of that stuff. Like, he was just like, no, you don't want to do that. Like, you don't want to mess with the IRS and things like that. And I was like, there's a legal way of doing this. I just didn't know at that time how to figure it out, right? And my second CPA, she was good. It wasn't that she wasn't good. I just wasn't knowledgeable enough. And that's when I owed the $30,000 in taxes. And then my third CPA, she's bomb. Okay? She's bomb. She's amazing. And so she was the one that was just like, we got to make you an S corporation. You're making way too much money. You can reduce your taxable income by making yourself an employee of your business. And I was like, what the? That was foreign to me. That was foreign to me. But I would say I educated myself before vetting my third CPA. I feel like that's something that's super important. That the thing is, I was so reliant on my CPA knowing these things, and I'm not saying that they don't, but I also know at what point I need to reduce my taxable income. And just a little gem, you could do that by working a W-2 contract if you've been working 1099 the whole year.
Wow.
See?
Mm-hmm.
See, like the people don't be knowing,
Yeah,
but we learning though. We all learning. We are all learning.
I'm glad you actually out here educating nurse practitioner, nurses,
sure.
healthcare workers about this option, because it's like, you know, a lot of times like they don't really know. They just make the money, and you know, Uncle Sam takes out that portion, and they're satisfied with whatever they get back. You know, so. Damn.
So Section 162A of the IRS tax code states that you can write off any ordinary expenses that are trades or businesses. So think about it that way. When you become a business, anything that was a personal expense can now be written off as business expense, as long as you can validate it as a business expense. Again, me being on this podcast talking about this stuff. My whole transportation here, I didn't mind, right? It's like I went 30 minutes it took me to get here. I didn't mind. Guess what? The whole thing is a business write-off for me.
Yeah.
And it's December. I need that.
Yeah. Give it all. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So you've been through it all. Like 3 CPAs, losing 30,000. So you definitely, like, I feel like a lot of nurses and nurse practitioners should be tapping in with you, because you definitely, like, you know, you're at the point where like you really know exactly what you're talking about. You know?
Anything I don't know, I go to my CPA about. But she know I already come with the knowledge. So it's more like a clarification thing for me. It's not like what to do. It's more like, I did this. Doesn't this make sense to you? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
But I think we zoomed in a little farther into the conversation. But could you like break down the difference between a RN and like a nurse practitioner?
Yes. Okay. I know not everybody that listening is medical, right? So I'm going to break it down in a way using you guys, all right? Yeah. Let's say you are the patient, you are the RN, and I'm the NP. Let's say Cody has a headache and he's asking for Tylenol. You can give him the Tylenol, but you cannot write that script. I have to write that script. So you need a master's to be a nurse practitioner. But you still need to go through the stages of your RN, BSN to get your master's. So pretty much I would be the person that I can write scripts for him. I could take him out of work. I can evaluate him and so on. Whereas the RN, they're the person that can implement the things that I tell them to do, pretty much. So that's the difference between the two. That's why I went back to school. Like, I wanted to be the person to be able to say, you know, do this and do that. Yeah. I like it. You know, it's different scope of practice between the RN and the NP. And I mean, I got my degree, so baby, I'm not afraid to go back if I need to. Okay. I went back for 6 weeks in COVID. Like, come on now.
School gives me anxiety. Like, I don't lie. I mean, I like learning outside of school because they say, what they say? Traditional education will make you a living. Formal education will make you a fortune. No, wait. Did I say it backwards?
No, I think you said it right.
Did I said it right?
I think so.
I think so too.
Or-
But
wait,
whichever
formal?
way,
I
no,
don't know, but
formal education will make you a living.
a living, yeah.
Not
Not traditional. It
not
had to be something
traditional.
else.
But whichever way, whatever you learn outside in the world is where you really gonna thrive and you gonna make a
Yeah.
fortune,
Mhm.
right? So that's my thing. Like I like reading a lot of books, like, but school just give me anxiety. Like,
I said if I was to ever go back, I would be an accountant.
yeah, I thought about that too.
Like the
I'm
way
like, I
I
should've
love
went for that.
taxes. Oh my gosh. I
can
used to
make-
hate them,
yeah.
but the way I love them now, like people like, you like taxes? Like I'm like, yes. I like messing with the IRS. What you gonna do to me?
Yeah, everybody always scared of the IRS. But,
Not me. I ain't scared of that.
At the end of the day, like that's a business that's always gonna be in demand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people are always gonna need an accountant. They're always gonna need a CPA, a good one at least. They're always gonna need like help with their finances because at the end of the day, like something that's always guaranteed is always be gonna pay taxes. You know
You're
what I
gonna
mean?
pay taxes. I always tell people this. You're gonna pay taxes somehow. We pay all different types of taxes. We pay taxes on our house. We pay taxes on everything.
Yeah.
It's just about where you pay in the taxes.
I think we pay too much taxes.
We do.
Everywhere.
We do.
So with your so this year, how was your schedule this year? You know, being that
Mhm.
you're an independent contractor. Like, how'd you set your schedule this year?
I every year I normally take about I normally work about 6 to 9 months out of the year. Every year. This is the first year that I did 6 months in a row of no work.
Oh, wow.
So I did not work any contracts for 6 months. So I worked from January to April, and I just got back. I went away. I went to 10 countries, I think, this
Oh,
year.
wow.
I gotta think about it. I went to Ghana. I'm trying to think about it in the order. I went to Ghana. I went to Togo, Benin. I went to Egypt, Honduras. Then I went to Ghana again, Nigeria, Turkey, Morocco. 9. I feel like I'm missing one, but I went to 9 countries
Damn.
this year, and I worked 6 months this year.
Wow.
6
months. Damn,
6 months.
that's crazy.
6 months.
We definitely got to get into the traveling too. You
Yeah,
went to,
like-
to 10 countries this this
Yeah.
one year. What was your
Yeah.
favorite country?
I don't have a favorite country. The thing is with me is like I every time I go somewhere, it's like I could move here. Like, I definitely stayed in countries longer than others. I stayed in Costa Rica. I stayed in Ghana. Those were both about a month for both of them. Loved it. Loved both of them. Like Costa Rica give you like a little Zen vibes, and I love that about it. In Ghana, I just love Ghana. The people there, the music, the vibes, the parties, everything. Like I just love Ghana. But
About
I
the
never.
safety. Like,
I felt safe. Let me tell you. So I've been to 30 plus countries solo.
really.
Wow.
Most of them were solo.
I
Most of
mean,
them were
most
solo.
times, like especially when you open up your mouth, the kind of clothes that you're wearing, you're an automatic victim. Like
I do.
you're a
I do
target.
my research ahead of time. Like when I first became a travel nurse, I think what made me get into solo traveling and made me feel so confident. Like I really did feel like nothing else. If you could solo travel, like what else can't you do? Like this is like
Yeah.
so. The first time I did solo traveling was in 2019, I want to say, because it was before I became an NP, before I actually got an NP role. And I took a contract in California. And because Hawaii was closer to get to Hawaii from California, I went to Hawaii by myself. So that was my first state solo trip. Well, I guess California is a state solo trip, right? Because I went to
Yeah.
work out there. But it gave me the confidence. Being in California gave me the confidence to be able to travel solo. So I went to Hawaii on vacation, had an amazing time, stayed there for a week, did yoga, did some fire dancing, learned how to fire dance. I did so much out there. And then I decided, like, let me go somewhere internationally. And I always wanted to go to Colombia. Always. That was a difficult trip for me, though, because I didn't know Spanish. But I always wanted to go, like, the colors, the arts, everything. So I was just like, let me go to Colombia. I stayed there for a week. I met, like, some people from Brooklyn by the grace of God.
Wow.
They made my trip, because it would have been, I think it would have been much harder. But they made my trip. But that didn't stop me. Like, I loved the idea of being out the country, being to myself, and exploring different places. And it helped grow my brand, actually, because if I would have waited for anybody, I would have never grew Front Page Ev.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was gonna say too, like, because a lot of people they want to take those trips, but they kind of held back. You know.
It's the mind.
Yeah. What made you say I'm gonna just go by myself? I'm gonna travel 30 countries by myself.
I think it starts with the first one.
Yeah, it started with the first one, but it's like you have to, like, I've always been that person to be curious about things.
Yeah.
And I think my curiosity was what brought me there. Like, I was curious on how it felt to travel to Hawaii. I was curious, like, oh, if I could do that, I could do out of state, like I could do internationally. Some people are not built for that. Let's just put it that way, right? While others, like, if you are a person that loves to travel, but you keep waiting your friends, baby, you ain't going. You ain't never gonna go. So at what point are you gonna be like, all right? And you know what? It's so funny because before I started teaching nurse practitioners about independent contracting, I had a solo travel course. So I was teaching, like, travelers how to travel by themselves, right? This time, nobody knew I was a nurse. Like, nobody knew I did nursing. Right. So this is before I had Ebbthenp, which is my second Instagram page, when I started showing the side outside of traveling internationally. Like traveling local, but working, and showing how I was able to fund those travels. Wow. Yeah.
Do you got any tips, especially for, like, women, like, traveling solo?
Yeah.
Do's and don'ts?
Yes. I want to give a shout out to my sister Keem, though, because Keem was the person, her Instagram is The Passport Abuser. She was the person that, like, although I traveled solo, when I met her off of the internet, actually. But she, like, now I could come to family events. I'm going to be in her wedding and everything. Like, that's how good we are like that. But she taught me how to really travel solo, like the safety things behind it, because I didn't really know. Like, I was just always curious, but the safety stuff. So, like, making sure that you check the travel advisory, making sure you sign up with the U.S. Embassy for those notifications that let you know, like, if something is going on in the country. The tips to do with the hotel, like making sure that you put the little locks on the doors, and making sure you send your parents the itinerary apps that you could use so that they know where you're gonna be at all times. And so she taught me the nitty-gritty of things that I did not know. So and she actually helped me grow my brand. I was featured in different articles like Forbes, Business Insider, Good Morning America, Essence, Travel New York, Yahoo. And that's because I was able to showcase my lifestyle, like just being myself. Like, I think the best person you could be is yourself.
Yeah.
So that's definitely liberating by itself.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like the door stopper. All right, even like, for example, like when you're going to these countries, like, and you don't have any phone service, like, how does that make you feel? Like,
really.
You know what I mean? Like that journey be so terrifying.
That is. So, I mean, you could still have like Wi-Fi devices as well. That there's these portable Wi-Fi devices that you can have. You can also, and what I do, well, now that I changed my phone to T-Mobile, I don't have that issue no more. But before that, I had I changed, like, I had my phone unlocked. I actually paid my phone off. I had my phone unlocked so I could put SIM cards in there.
Makes sense.
So I didn't really have to deal with that. And then I stick to my structured itinerary where, like, the tour guides would pick me up, drop me off. So it was very structured. And I, like, always make sure there's English speaking hotels too.
Wow.
Yeah. Colombia, when I went to Colombia, my first the hotel I stayed in, they did not speak English at all. So, like, after that, I was like, nah, like, I need somebody to speak English just in case. Yeah.
Wow.
How'd you navigate that? Did you like use your phone a lot, like the translating app?
Yeah, so I had the one thing about it is that I had this tour guide who was amazing, and he was just like, listen, if you need me to translate, just call me on WhatsApp. And so I would call him on WhatsApp, and he would translate for me like on where I needed to go. But this is before I met like the whole group of people that were from Brooklyn. Yeah. One of the girls recognized me because she was a travel nurse. I mean, she was a nurse at New York Presbyterian, and I was a travel nurse at New York Presbyterian. She was like, ain't you so-and-so friend? World. It was a small world. Like, wow. And I spent the rest of my vacation with them. So that made it easier. And then one of the girls that ended up, it's just divine timing, because there was another girl that was traveling solo from New York as well, from the Bronx. And so I guess what happened is we all booked the same tour. So after that, we just remained as a clique throughout the whole time. Like, even the girl that was traveling solo too. So
that's nice. I like that. That's cool.
It's God, man. God got me through that trip, but it didn't stop me. Like, I was like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So my advice to everybody is don't be scared to book that trip. Just go.
Absolutely.
But we got to touch on. I know we talked about it off air, but could you like give them like a quicker story, like about how you found your husband, like from traveling?
Oh my God.
Yeah. we got to touch on that. That was a great.
She said, "God is good." He like, yeah, this is a nice time to throw it in there, right there.
Okay, so we talking about God now.
Yeah.
It's a great story. It's a great story.
It is. It's definitely very, very impressive.
Yeah, no,
I like
for real.
it.
Like, God is really good. So just the long story short, I just felt this year I was going to manifest something. Something was going to happen differently in my life. Like, I was going through a lot last year with two of my brothers that were sick, back and forth with them. And I had wrote this down that I was going to meet my fiance internationally. That's it. And my friends always, like, I always told my friends that, like, oh, my husband is overseas. But us as females, we play around like that all the time. Like, my husband is overseas. And I met my fiance in Ghana. And I knew it was him because I pointed him out and said that he was my husband, right? And so after that, it was just like we connected from there. And since then, like, I mean, it's divine timing, and God like put us in that place because he's behind my content. He loves content creation. He doesn't care to be seen. He just likes to be behind my content. So the stuff that I'm missing, he's already catching for me. And then he's behind some of my marketing strategies as well, because he's in tech and he's in the market world as well. So he understands ads and things like that.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get that. It's a 2-in-1 special.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great story, because a lot of people, they closed off, especially in the dating world. They closed off. They're like, probably could only find somebody in this city, but you found somebody on the other side of the world.
And he's amazing. God is so good.
Wow. Wait, so how do you work that out? Like, do you go back like every 3 months or every 2 months? Or?
I think it works for us because of the fact that he works remotely.
Yeah.
And also for myself, I can work when I want to. Like, that's what makes it easier. So we don't really have like every 3 months because if I wanted to go there tomorrow, if I decide that I don't want to work for the first 6 months of the year, 2024, I could spend the first 6 months over there. So like it works for us. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but I really found love overseas.
That's nice.
That is great.
Yes, he's amazing.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to wrap up, but this was a really great convo. Do you have any like closing thoughts, like especially for, I know a lot of healthcare workers are gonna be watching this, NPs, nurses. Like what advice do you got for them, especially about Locum Tenens? A lot of them gonna have questions about it, like why should they take this path compared to like the W2 path?
It's not because I know that what I do, everybody can't do, right? But I feel like if you want your freedom, your flexibility, and you want to be able to maximize your pay, you can try to figure out how. Like, how connect with people like me Shameless plug. But connect with people that are doing exactly what you want to do, right? So I just feel like that's most important. Figuring out how, okay, I might have these limitations and it might be right now, but that's not my journey in the future. Right? I already know how my future is gonna be.
Yeah.
I want to be a housewife. I said that. Like, I told my fiance, I want to be a housewife, but I'm glad I cultivated this journey that I did right now to be able. I didn't have a mom growing up. Like, to be able to be like, listen, I want to be there for my daughter's dance recital, for my son's soccer game. That's just something that I wanted, so I needed to figure out how and align myself with the people that are on the same journey as me. So I feel like if this is truly your journey, then go for it. I've always been that type of person, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, that's great.
I wanted to ask you one question earlier
Sure.
too. So now, as a nurse practitioner, what's your thoughts on holistic healing and actual like big pharma healing? Like,
That's
do you
a
think
good.
we can't talk about that?
Nah, we could talk
Okay.
about it. I mean, I don't really have an opinion on it, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Like, some people are not
Because you know
into
your father's from Jamaica.
Yeah, my dad is
Yadman.
holistic all the way.
Yeah, I know.
All the way. So, like, he doesn't understand a lick of medicine at
Yeah.
all. It's really a personal preference depending on who's who. If I had things my way, I probably would go holistic the whole way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be like, Advil, what not?
Right. He don't
What's
know. He be
that?
like, you better do some green tea and mint tea and honey.
Yeah.
Okay?
My father's the same way. He boil up them
That's it.
bush tea, moringa.
Drink the bush tea.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's my father too.
Cersei, all of that stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, all right,
Man,
cool.
So one last question. So you're helping the nurses, and you're also saving a lot. Nurse practitioners save a lot of money on the taxes. So with that income, do you like invest in like other like passive income, different streams of income?
Yeah, so for me personally, I want to be able to give them those opportunities. Like right now, I'm just referring them to agencies. How about I be the agency, that can provide them those opportunities? I do want to do something special for new grads as well, new grad nurse practitioners, where they get the opportunity to like work in a location as a 1099 contractor for like a year plus, because it'll give them the opportunity to learn and grow, and not only that, make more money. And on the healthcare side, they're able to still have that provider long term for longevity, because nowadays, as you hear about this shortage all the time, if we can make it more convenient for both parties, it'll make it better. So my future goal, hopefully, is to be that person to give them those opportunities. So yeah, all my money is invested into my future goal.
That's good.
Yeah, building my community. My community is amazing. Amazing. They doing amazing things there too.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you just said a lot of big goals that you have. How can the people tap in and align with you on these goals?
So I have my Instagram for nurse practitioners seeking freedom and flexibility in their lifestyle and increase their pay and reduce taxable income. They can find me on Instagram at Ebbthenp on Instagram. And if you just want to get your next travel trip going on and know about the hidden gems, you can find me at Front Page Ebb on Instagram as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I host free master classes as well. So tap into those master classes too.
All right, y'all.
If you haven't yet, if you're a nurse aspiring NP, you definitely need to tap in with Ebony. I know if you watch this episode up to this point, you definitely learned a lot.
Facts.
So if you want more info, just tap in with her, join one of her master classes, her webinars. You'll definitely learn something. But yeah, this was a great combo.
Can I
For
give a shout out
sure.
to some of the people that's winning in my community?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Give a shout out. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I mean, I'm probably missing out on a lot of names, but definitely shout out to Trisha. She's doing her thing. She actually got her car under her business name. She's practicing fully as a locum, just business, all business. Alasia is my new grad. She's not into locums yet. She's not in locums yet, but she's doing the work. Next year, she'll definitely be a locum. And Breon, she bought a house in Ghana. She only comes back when it's time to do locum assignments as well. I have a lot more in the community, but we're going to keep it short and sweet.
Oh wow.
They got to know the people. They got to know the alumni. Takesha
Y'all
as well.
gonna
She's
meet
one of
them.
mine.
Y'all gonna meet them. They gonna meet them for sure. They gonna meet them. Okay. All right, cool. Any final words, bro?
I mean, this is a great convo. Definitely, like, I know y'all learned a lot. But if you haven't yet, just like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna give you guys more and more great episodes, bringing on great guests like Ebony. But yeah, I think that's it, bro.
All
It's a
right,
great
cool,
convo.
y'all. Definitely, I agree. Like,
Yes.
I definitely agree. This was a great conversation. I'm glad that we was able to run it back.
back.
Run it back. It's cool. It's cool.
Run it back, but we here. Another episode with Motion and Success. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys on the next episode.
Yep.
Definitely tap in, stay in tune, follow Ebony, follow us. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we gonna see you on the next show.
Yes.